Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your co-host, Kearney McKeegan. With me today on the Fit Down is my boy for the Fit Down, Jared Shiraz. Say what's up to the pod, Boog.
What's up, man? It's still a banger, man.
I know it's still a banger. I know. It's funny because I was like, I'm still getting used to the fact that this new song is the new thing. But anyway, we are here to do yet another mock draft. So this time around, we will be going back to the regular half PPR non-Superflex mock draft. And this time it's just me and Jared. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we do any of that, we have to give a shout out to our partners over at W Energy. Fantastic tasting energy. All of the energy you need to get through your day. You head on over to W.GG or use the W Energy app and our promo code, which is Boy and Soy. That's POINSOY for 10% off your order. Boog, let's talk some NFL fantasy football.
Let's get it. We ready.
We ready. Oh, boy. That song, man.
It hits,
well
bro. It hits.
done. I was like, I think it's Suno.ai. So anyway, shout out to the AI that made the song. Yeah, it's still so good. But anyway, we are here to talk about our fantasy mock draft. Like I said, this is regular half PPR. This will not be a Superflex mock draft. And we will get into that in just a second. Hold on, let me just be able to pull up that screen real quick. No sound. There you go. Bingo, bango. All right, so we're looking at this mock. Again, we have 12 players, just like we always do. Mostly because I feel like if you're still in a league that has 10 players, I mean, the league is too deep. I mean, you need to add at least 2 more guys to your league. If you don't have a minimum of 12, I just don't see what you're doing. You know what I mean? 12 to me is the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less, your league is watered down. Or excuse me, the opposite, I guess. Your league is like souped up, and then anything more, it may be a little bit more watered down. So anyway, we have picks 5 and 10. Excuse me. I said it twice in a row. Jared will be picking at pick 5, and I will be picking at pick 10. These are a little bit closer to our actual picks. I think we're literally both 2 off of our normal. Yeah, because I was like, you're at 7 and I'm at 12 in the normal round draft. But like I said, this is non-Superflex, so we'll see how this one goes. Let's start it off. You ready?
Oh, let's get it.
Here we go. Round 1 is commencing.
Oh, you already know who I'm taking.
About as what you would expect. First 4 picks of this draft were Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now over to Boog. Boog at pick 5. Who are you looking at right here?
I am going with the double threat weapon of I gotta pick him. It's gonna be like regular draft and everything. I just think McCaffrey gives me too much from the running standpoint and from a passing standpoint that I'm gonna take Christian McCaffrey.
Wow. Sticking to his guns.
Always. Well, at least for that one.
Between Jared and I, we had Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, James Cook, and CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, James Cook going off the board a little bit early here. Not super surprised because I know a lot of people are expecting him to be in sort of the talks for RB1 this year. We'll see how that pans out. I know both of us have kind of been vocal about that we're like okay on him. Both lukewarm, I would say, at best, because I think, I don't know if you've had him. Have you had him in fantasy?
I haven't had him in fantasy yet.
Yeah. I was like, when I had him, he was all touchdowns, no substance. Last year, he was a little bit more of both. This year, they expect him to take that next step and be consistent in both sides of it. We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, as I'm talking through this here, I'm just trying to give you sort of a little bit of the lay of the land where I'm at. I'm at pick 10. To start off the rip here, I do have Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Ashton Genty as the top 3 available players. I kind of always reiterated this, and if a player like him falls to me, I'm going to go with that, but I do love grabbing an RB1 in my first round, especially if the top end wide receiver guys who I believe are the top end, which are Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, and Jamar Chase are off the board. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself Jonathan Taylor here with my first overall pick here at number 10.
Great pick.
And as I wasn't expecting, to be completely honest, there was a little bit of a mini RB run there at the 12-13 turn. So Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Ashton Genty, and Devon Achan were the next four picks. Now it's back to me at the roundabout for pick 10. And as I'm kind of looking at the trends here, so this is something that I point out to a majority of you who are drafting in this range. Myself, I know I'm going to be looking to do a similar thing. I don't think you overthink it. I know a lot of people like to do the, I'll grab one and one. Maybe I'll grab one RB, one wide receiver here. Maybe it's a top end tight end. For one, I'm just going to do the double stack here and grab two who I believe to be elite running backs. If you guys have listened to our tier podcast, go back to that one because we broke those down for you. My tier one consisted of the guy that I drafted already in Jonathan Taylor, but it also consisted of this guy who I'm going to draft next, which is Omarion Hampton. He also happens to be the top available player. I know there's Drake London after that, and Chase Brown, who I do also like, but I'm not going to reach on Chase Brown. I'm just going to take the upside pick here with Omarion Hampton at my second round pick. I don't know why I keep doing that. Like I'm trying to guess the number, but
At the 15th overall pick in the draft.
there
There
we
you go. I
go.
got you. I got
There you
you.
go. There you go. My man, Mathin.
Nico Collins.
Wow. So we go back to Boog after Nico Collins, Chase Brown, Drake London, and Brock Bowers go off the board. Wow. Brock Bowers in the middle of the second is pretty crazy. So, Boog, who are you looking at here, and what are you thinking about doing for your second round?
I mean, normally, like, honestly, I didn't think Brock Bowers was going to go before Trey McBride. So I was kind of eyeballing him, thinking, oh, he's going to fall to me. It'll be good. In that regard, I'm going to do something kind of like I like AJ Brown. He's doing in New England. I think he's going to be good throughout the year. But I think without Pat Mahomes, without a little things like that, you said it perfectly. You're not going to like overthink it too much. I'm going to fill that second running back row right now, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get Kenneth Walker.
Ooh, I like that pick a lot. Man, sleeper man. Well done with the mock drafts. They kind of kill it low
Yeah.
key. But after you was AJ Brown, followed by Trey McBride, Jeremiah Love, Josh Allen. Wow, going off at the end of the second round here. The back to back was Josh Allen, then George Pickens, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, and Rashee Rice. Back to you, Boog. Who are you looking at here at the top of this third or in the middle of this third round?
I would say for me, I kind of looking now. Now that I got my two running backs, I'm gonna look for my next skills player, and I think I'm going to look at a wide receiver. I'm looking for him to have pretty big output this upcoming year with the talk that we've had about his quarterback and the outbreak that he had at the end of last year. I think that's how we're going to go.
And I like
it's
going to
go big. I think Chris Olave is going to have a breakout year just by the fact that Tyler Shuck is going to come out and be a banger from the beginning. So I'm going to take Chris Olave.
Agree wholeheartedly. Love that pick. Wow. And that went almost picture perfectly for me because there was a guy that I was hoping would follow me, and he did indeed follow me. So, following that pick of Chris Olave was Malik Neighbors, Josh Jacobs, Brees Hall, and Javonte Williams. So, I think with the guy here, which is obviously a bot here at pick 9, grabbing Javonte Williams when you have some talents that are probably in a tier above him in other skill positions seems pretty crazy to me, especially with kind of what we've been hearing out of the Dallas Cowboys training camp with Jadon Blue sort of taking some reps away from Javonte and looking to sort of eat into that role of his. Surprising pick right there. I do like the pick of Malik Neighbors. I know he's going higher and higher now, especially after people got wind of what he can do in training camp. So, not surprising that he went here in the middle of that round. And to be honest, I was eyeing a wide receiver here. If it was going to be like T. Higgins or Garrett Wilson, I was probably a little less excited. But the guy that I really wanted actually ended up falling to me, and that is Teteroya McMillan. So with my third round pick here, I'm going to go ahead and grab Tet and expect that that Carolina Panthers offense is going to be much improved, and this guy is going to be a huge part of that. So
He was
third round
last
pick
year for
Teteroya
me.
McMillan. He was,
He
undoubtedly.
was.
Right on. So the roundabout here, we got Travis Etienne, who is now with the New Orleans Saints, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, and Colston Loveland, who I'm not going to lie, was kind of hoping to grab right there, kind of do the thing I did a little bit yesterday when I snagged somebody who was around this area. As we are sitting here in sort of the non-super flex, I'm seeing like a guy like Lamar Jackson is coming up. I know he has sort of the elite QB1 upside stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm so much more inclined to look at my skill positions rather than to reach for Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of good QBs. I don't mind waiting to get QB 10 or 11 or whatever QB ends up falling to me later on. So I'm not going to grab Lamar. I'm looking at somebody that I do think has some high upside this year. I think the offense is going to be improved. I think that they're going to be a team that's going to be looking to go far into the postseason. The offense coordinator changed over to Mike McDaniel. So with the LA Chargers, I'm going to go ahead and grab Lad McConkey here to complement my Tedoroy McMillan pick and lock up my wide receiver room.
Love that. That's a great pick.
Ooh, right on. So Lamar Jackson went after me, then Bucky Irving, Garrett Wilson, and Cam Scattaboo. Now back to Boog. Ooh, I kind of feel like I maybe,
I don't think you know where I'm going with this one.
Ooh,
um,
okay, go ahead.
and like in past times, you guys all know, like I like to try to build my team and try to get it done early. Yes, there's a player from last year, Emeka Buka. I think he could have a big upside for me here. But there's also another player that a lot of you guys had, and he was just productive. We know where Daniel Jones is going to be. We know what's going to happen in that Indianapolis offense. This guy was a huge part of their offense. And
Yes, he
I'm going
was.
to go grab the guy that I think is going to be sure-handed for them. And I'm going to go get Tyler Warren.
Love that player. Love that pick. Now I know who I got to be keeping an eye out for. Trying to grab my tight end here this year.
I mean, you know me. There's
Um,
like 3 or 4 that I want out
No,
of
I
this
like I
draft.
like the chaos. I like the chaos that you ensue with and when you make your picks. But right after Boog, we had Trevion Henderson, then Terry McLaurin, Jamison Williams, Emeka Igbuka, and Luther Burden back to back. We got Quinshawn Judkins, DJ Moore, and Jalen Waddle. Now back to Boog. Who are you going to grab here with your 5th round pick?
I believe this is where I kind of like toss my hat in any position at this point, and kind of just
Yeah,
looking at the positions that I already got. Like I already got receivers, I got a wide receiver, and I got a tight end. My running backs and the receivers. I think this is where a guy like Drake May just kind of stands out to me. We know what he can do with his arm,
oh
his
yeah,
legs, and everything. And I think the value where I'm getting him in the 5th round right now, with the upside of
crazy.
everything he's done, yeah, it's crazy to think that he's got. I know it's not a super flex league. I know we're not going to go quarterback heavy, but still, Drake May is still one of the top tier quarterbacks in the league, and he's proven to be so. This is where I feel like I want to fill out my roster and I can't look past him. So I'm going to go ahead and snag him now.
Could not agree more. That is a great pick and a great way to round out that starting lineup there. Um, right after Drake May, we got David Montgomery, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Swift, and Zay Flowers, who just got that crazy extension from the Baltimore Ravens. I'm looking here at my team. I obviously have 2 and 2 of each. I got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Ideally, I'd want to be filling out my entire starting roster, but I do see a couple of guys here who I believe in the upside there. So I'm actually looking past what I feel like should be the more logical pick here, which is to grab Joe Burrow as my quarterback, somebody who has sort of elite QB1 upside. I'm actually going to look to build a little bit more depth for my team, and somebody that I really do like this year because I believe that their offense is going to be improved. I believe in the system that he's in, and everything coming out of training camp has been that this guy has looked like an elite prospect and somebody that can really shine in their offense this year as the next man up, as they quoted him being, and that is Baishal Tootin. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out my RB room and grab Baishal here to be the number 3 running back on my squad.
That actually surprised me. But for me, I was thinking because you have the turn too.
That is exactly what I was hoping would happen, to be quite honest, right here with this turn. So Carnell Tate went, then it was Jaden Daniels, Mike Evans, and Rome Adunze. So again, didn't want to put myself into sort of this hole of like having to grab a specific talent here. There's a lot of players that I really, really believe in. And, just to kind of continue on to the strategy that I've already been building on, which is to grab talent that I feel like is the best talent available throughout this draft, as opposed to going and grabbing positions just because I feel like I need to grab positions. Again, this is not a super flex league, so you don't have to have the double QB thing. You can, and I do know that there's a lot of people who do like a Joe Burrow here, but I'm actually not going to go ahead and grab my QB here, and I'm going to skip past him, and I'm going to grab somebody who I also believe has a ton of high upside, has looked really good during training camp, and is somebody who has been a standout for this team. Last year specifically had a really, really good year, and I'm going to go with Christian Watson here.
Great pick. Great pick.
After that was the guy that I was heavily considering, which was Tucker Kraft. So Tucker Kraft followed that pick, then Joe Burrow, Jadarian Price, and Chuba Hubbard. Now back to Boog.
I am so like up in there with this, but for me, I think like you guys know, I like to round out my team. I do need another wide receiver. As I kind of look through everything, I already have Brian's BTJ. I'm gonna be honest, like has been kind of hit or miss for me. We're not sure where he want to go with him. So that's the next pick, the next highest pick that's there. And then you have a player like Jordan Tyson. It's kind of hard for me to double up because I already do have Olave here. So I don't want to double up in receivers in that regard. If I had Shuck, maybe I'd double up and triple up on that. So for me, I'm going to go with a guy who I drafted his rookie season. He got a taller quarterback now. I think he's been showing a lot of highlights in training camp. I think he's going to have a good comeback breakout year. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Marvin Harrison.
I like that pick. Yeah, that guy's been showing out for sure.
Yep.
A lot of tape coming out with him. Right on. So to follow that pick, you had Brian Thomas Jr., then Jordan Tyson, the two other guys you were considering, Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, Harold Fannin, Jalen Hurts, RJ Harvey, and Sam Laporta. So now it's back to Boog. Where are you going to go with this 7th round pick?
I think for me, one of the biggest things is like, I always like to take swings as we go through our leagues, especially on the youth and the talent. My team is basically built at this point. All I need is a kicker and a defense when you really think about it, so I can build for my flex and high upside players. I know he's dealing with an injury right now. I do think that this kid is like has a huge upside. We talked about him as being a rookie, talking about him being sure-handed, having a great home in Philadelphia, and I'm going to grab Mekhi Lemon here.
Ooh. Interesting. After Mekhi, we had PJ Washington, Ramondre Stevenson, Kyle Pitts, and Cortland Sutton. Now, this is where the draft is going to get a little bit more interesting because, as I said earlier, we have sort of this. For myself, there's a few tiers of guys that I am trying to avoid. So I know specifically there's maybe like a tier. Maybe like a tier 3 of wide receivers I'm not super excited about. There's also a tier 3 of sort of the running backs that I'm not super excited about. That's about where we are right now because we got the question marks of Kyle Monangai. We got Tony Pollard, who is in an offense that just signed a rookie that could be looking to have a bigger role and one that would take him out of the offense a little bit. I'm actually going to go with somebody that I believe has some higher upside, somebody that I know we have kind of talked about together, Nolan and I, on the podcast regarding some of our upside swings and guys who could be true boom players for you. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Justin Herbert here as my quarterback for at pick 7, just because I do feel like his offense is going to be one that is going to be much improved. Mike McDaniels being there is something that I am really, really locking in on, and I do love the idea that I can have the stack of him and Lad McConkey.
All I'm going to say is your week 7 is going to be rough with your 3 guys out.
Yeah. So now we have Alec Pierce, Michael Wilson, Kyle Monangai, and Caleb Williams off the board, and this is about where I'm going to be. I'm excited to grab a pick that I've been kind of talking about very highly. If you've listened to sort of our Sleepers podcast, then you already know this is a guy that I mentioned on that one. This is somebody that I really like in this area as far as like the 6 through maybe 10 rounds. depending on how quickly your league goes after sort of skill guys. He's somebody that has been showing out in training camp. He's somebody that has a high upside. If he ends up staying healthy this year, which has been the question mark for his entire career thus far in the NFL, I think there's a big chance that this guy is going to show all of the upside that he came into the league with. I'm going to go ahead and grab Jonathan Brooks here with my 8th round pick.
Ooh, I do love that actually.
Right after that, we got Tony Pollard, Chris Godwin, Rico Dowdle, and Jackson Dart. So now over to Boog, who you have here at pick 8.
At pick 8 for me, I'm kind of just looking for depth in my positions. Um, I don't really have a specific target, I would say, that I really want to look at. I do know, like we've talked about when it comes to this team, like Brian Thomas Jr. kind of up in there. I do think Parker Washington is, for me, kind of up in there as well. And a person who kind of came in and kind of took a good spot and has really established himself in the offense. I think Jacoby Myers is a player that will get a lot of love, a lot of looks, a lot of touches, and get you a lot of yardage. Hopefully, touchdowns as well included in that yardage. But
Yeah.
I think he'll get a lot of love in the regard of being a part of that offense where Trevor Lawrence finds him because of the rapport that they've built together, especially towards that end of the last season when he did end up there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Jacoby Myers here.
Love that.
Wow.
Wow. So good names went off the board there. We
Mm.
got J.K. Dobbins, followed by Trevor Lawrence, Dalton Kincaid, Blake Corum, Michael Pittman, Jordan Addison, Wandell Robinson, who I didn't expect to go that early, and then Dak Prescott, now back to Boog. What are you looking at here?
I think I do need another one of these. For me, it's kind of one of those where I don't know where I want to go with this, if I'm being honest. Um, I just like to go and get these type of players, especially because when we talk about point getters, I think this is one of the biggest ones of them. He's the first person that kind of came to my head the last time as well. I know I did grab Kaimi Fairburn the last time, but I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna grab Brandon Aubrey in this draft to change it up a little.
Ooh. Well played. What was that sound?
Huh, what was that?
I guess there's a sound when you reach really high up there, I'm assuming.
I guess
I have no
so.
clue.
I'm just trying to film my
That
team,
one.
man. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never expected to hear that.
Dang.
Yeah, that threw me off. Anyway, right after that, we had Oronde Gadsden, George Kittle, Quentin Johnston, and Travis Kelsey. So, two things have become evident throughout this. Obviously, with Boog's strategy, he likes to fill out his starting unit. One of those things that are really that's really consistent with you and Matt, and I feel like is a really good strategy. If you know who you're looking
Yeah.
for, it's a great way to go. Specifically, especially if you can kind of nail down the values early on and really get your lineup set up pretty early.
Hmm.
I mean, Boog went right off the rip. I mean, your first like 6 picks were masterful. So, um, anyway, with that said, I also noticed another trend which has been happening and the reason why I'm going to make this next pick, and that is that tight ends are going off the board fairly quickly
Yeah.
here. So, we got a lot of names that went off the board very, very early. A lot of names I wasn't expecting to be gone this early. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my tight end before it's a little bit too late. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the guy who I feel has the most upside out of this group, which is Jake Ferguson, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goddard, Hunter Henry. And I'm going to grab my guy, Isaiah Likely here.
Ooh,
Tight end, pick 9.
good pick. New home, new boom.
New home, new boom, same coach, better offense, all the things I like
Yeah.
about Isaiah Likely. So, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, Jake Ferguson, and Kenny Gainwell are the next 4 picks. As I'm looking at my squad, and this is something that again, probably not a strategy that everybody likes to do, but something that I like to do because I don't like the idea of having to make moves if I don't want to make moves at a certain point in the season, especially when you have injuries, especially when things of that nature start to pile up. I don't like the idea that I have to drop somebody, pick somebody up, do those sorts of things. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my second QB here at pick 10. Not as a little bit of an unorthodox strategy, but somebody upright who fell into my lap and is somebody that I really, really believe in this year. Somebody that I've already said as my hot take is going to be an MVP candidate, and that is Brock Purdy at pick 10.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, you had to kind of take him, like you said, he kind of fell to you. You can got to take
Yeah,
advantage
he's
of
just
it.
like, yeah, such good value at this point. But we got Aaron Jones, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Matt Stafford, and Josh Downs as the next four picks. Back to Boog. Who you want here?
So I think my defense can be on a little bit of a hold to round out my actual starting lineup. I noticed like I have four receivers now. I have a quarterback. I have my tight end, but I think I'm kind of lacking in the sense of a third running back in his regard. I think in this point in the season and this point in his career, he's kind of gone to show that he can do a lot when given the opportunity to. And we talked about Washington's running game after they gave away Brian Robinson, Ja'Cory Cross Merritt. I don't think he was always going to be it. And I think Rashad White is a person here that can get you good amount, be a good flex person. And if somebody goes down, he kind of steps into that role as a starter for you because he knows how to do it. He's done it before. So I'm going to take Rashad White here.
That is a fantastic pick. That is one of the guys that I was eyeing in this next round. So great, great, great pick by you. Right
And
after that, we had Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Tyler Algier, Hunter Henry, Xavier Worthy, Dallas Goddard, Mark Andrews, and Zach Charbonnet back to Boog.
And this is where, I mean, we get towards the later rounds, and I think you got to just take best available. And it kind of just fell to me, and that's why I kind of skipped over them. I was really hoping this was going to happen. Just to round out my starting lineup, I don't even got to really think about it. The big trade happened. It only boosted that
Yeah,
team, and you can't skip past the Los Angeles Rams after they got Myles Garrett.
agree wholeheartedly. Kind of an unfortunate run right there because I was kind of hoping
Looking
the
at
Houston
those.
Texans would swing back around there. But we got Casey Concepcion, the Seattle Seahawks, the Houston Texans, and Jared Goff. Back to me on this one, because I'm sort of looking at the actually the temperature of the board, I guess, is the best way to say it. Is I'm looking through who's available and who could fall to me eventually. I'm gonna kind of wait it out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead with again another unorthodox move because just from a value standpoint, I do like this player a lot. He fell back into my lap. I do also believe in at least having two of these, just in case there is an injury and you don't want to have to dig through the pile of, useless junk in free agency. I'm going to go ahead and grab Brenton Strange right here because I do
Great
want to have my
pick.
second tight end locked up for this draft.
Another sure-handed tight end.
Another sure-handed tight. Wow, Kenyon Sadiq went high. So we got Jordan Mason, Khalil Shakir, the Philadelphia Eagles, and Kenyon Sadiq. So we're in that
Hmm.
end game time where we're looking at some of the players that are available. We're looking at some of the guys who are falling, and I was gonna kind of wait out some things and play out the sort of how do I want to say the depth part of my team and go that direction. But I'm actually going to go ahead and reach down a little bit here because I do think I want to lock up my starting lineup, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the Denver Broncos, who I do think still have an elite defense and a team that I am buying pretty high on this year. So go ahead and grab them with the 12th overall pick.
Love that. Good round out.
That worked out a little bit. Yeah, we got Jonah Coleman, then Matthew Golden, Jalen Coker, and Tyrone Tracy. Back to Boog. What are you looking at here in the 12th round?
At this point, I'm kind of just looking to go and find my backups or my heavy swingers that I can take chances on because I do have players that are there already. For me, I like to do this. I've done it I think a couple of times throughout the years as we've had this, and because I talk so big about Chris Olave. I think I want to go and I want to take Tyler Shuck so that when I do need to play him, if Drake May or a bye week or whatnot, I can double up there because that's going to be target to target favorite touchdowns. You get the double dip in that regard, and I think that he's going. Like I said, I think he's going to have a breakout year where that's why I need to take him here.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw the name and I was like, dang it, I hope he gets taken before Book sees him again.
I was looking for my second QB, and I was like, okay, I can see
No,
it.
that was a yeah. Once I saw, I was like, that was a perfect spot. So we got Jordan Love, Brian Robinson, Stephon Diggs, Malik Willis, Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins, Chris Rodriguez, and AJ Barner going off. Boog, back to you.
I don't really believe in this offense as much because of their quarterback. Um, we talk about them a lot. Their defense keeps them in games. They have one good receiver. But this guy, when I picked him up last year, was just so amazing for me. Sure-handed, one of the favorite targets, got a lot of love. I need a second person, like Keone said. He doesn't like to like go searching and get into all the chaos of looking for a second player in that position. And I'm going to go and I'm going to take Dalton Schultz.
Oh, that's not where I thought you
Who
were
do you think I
going.
was thinking?
I don't know. At first, I was kind of like, he's in a pretty good offense. You just talked about him. I thought you were going to grab Jawan Johnson there. I was like,
No. I didn't want to. I didn't want to triple on that one. I was thinking
yeah,
about
the
that.
triple.
I was thinking about that. I was going to triple up, and I was like, no. I think Dalton Schultz
Yeah.
gave me so much love last year.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good. I mean, it's a good play by you. So we got Travis Hunter, Omar Cooper Jr., Baker Mayfield, and the New England Patriots next. So I do like the good thing about the. I mean, this one compared to some of the other mock drafts we've had is that they did not just go with the straight last two rounds is defense and kickers. So I'm glad that they kind of changed it up for us here. They've been grabbing defenses earlier, which means there's a good chance that they may be going kickers a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my kicker here because there's one kicker that we both like to eye in this specific range. Absolute beast, and got a shout out to the only Hawaiian name in all of NFL football, Kaimi Fairburn.
You
You
know,
see, and it's a good thing I did that because it looked like the next guy was
was
eyeing
gonna
a
take
kicker
it
as
too.
well. Yeah, I was like, oh, so we got Borgalis, James Conner, Jawan Johnson, and Denzel Boston going off the board here. So I'm looking at the board here now. I'm kind of debating things because I do think there's a strategy that I like to go with. You know what? As I'm talking through it out loud here, considering I would say consider the rules of your own league because if your league does like our league does, which is included tackles for loss,
Oh,
definitely will change sort of what defenses you go after, those sorts of things. I would say definitely consider that because that is something that is a big deal when it comes to defenses in and of itself. But if you don't have a league that has that sort of stuff, maybe you don't need to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the defense that I want to grab here because, they're my team and I got to shout them out. Pittsburgh Steelers always finish as one of the top 8 defenses. I'm going to go ahead and grab them here as my second defense off the board. You're over there sucking teeth. What's going on?
I don't know what I want to do. That's why I like looking at
Oh,
different things. I'm like,
yeah, there's a lot of players here, but it goes back to Tyjae Spears, Rashid Shaheed, Kyler Murray, the Baltimore Ravens, and back to Boog.
but
There's a lot of talent still left.
there's
That's a
a
good thing about.
lot of talent still left.
I was like, one less round makes a big difference. Like our league is 16 rounds, so I mean, one less round is a lot less players to consider here.
I think I like where you went with that, in the sense of the defenses and everything, and how great it is when you can double up. I'm pretty sure every year I've grabbed pretty much two defenses, and I'd be dumb not to do it again. Being successful, knowing that if one works and one doesn't work. I think this defense was so well improved. I think they were one of the better defenses, and that's why they had a lot of team success. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take Jacksonville. I want their defense this year.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great defense. It's funny because that was the other one I was considering when I
Hmm.
looked at the teams here. So that's a great pick. All right, sort of standard picks here. We got Cameron Dicker, then Jason Myers. I don't even know that guy's first name. We got the Minnesota Vikings, Cam Little. It's the kicker for the Rams,
His name is
apparently.
Harrison Mevis.
Harrison Mavis, sure. The Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the New York Giants, and back to Boog.
I'm literally going to take this player for two reasons. Because nobody can stay healthy in their offense from in this one position, and they just re-signed. No, sorry. Yeah. And they just
Debo
re-signed him.
Samuel.
Yeah, they just re-signed him. So you
Ah, I
already
knew
know.
it.
I'm gonna, and this is at this, and we're at the point in like round 15. You don't really need
Take a
players. You
swing.
just take a swing on anybody, and we know the highest upside with him and Brock Purdy. And this is where you know he already knows the offense. He knows he flows. He already built his relationship with Brock Purdy and his quarterback that he can actually break out this season, and this Niners offense could look really good and make Brock Purdy that MVP candidate that Keone was talking about earlier. So yes, I am going to take Debo Samuel.
Love that. Yeah, we got 4 kickers in a row. We got Eddie Pinero, Harrison Butker, Jake Bates, and Tyler Loop all going off the board here, back to back to back to back. Now it's back to me, and I do see a player here that I've been contemplating in all sorts of leagues because for some reason his stock is going up higher and higher. I know training camps have been very kind to his role. Specifically, he plays on a team that's looking to be a championship contender. So ideally, he'd be a guy who steps into a pretty solid role. But I do really like the workhorse back in front of him, and I don't necessarily see a role where he takes that away from him or takes big touches away from him. They play similarly, so I'm not super keen on him having any sort of goal line role with that offense. That's Emmett Johnson. So I'm not going to go ahead and grab him. I'm actually going to go with somebody that I do believe has a very, very high ceiling, is somebody that can take over the RB1 role for his team, somebody that can step into that role sooner rather than later, especially when you consider the 2 players who are technically above him aren't guys that I'm super, super worried about. And actually, as I was about to say, the guy that I was going to say initially, I'm actually going to take that back because I just realized somebody else is available. So the person I was talking about was Nick Singleton. I believe in Tennessee. He had a chance to take it over the RB1, but I'm going to go ahead and grab Mike Washington, who, on the flip side of what I was just talking about, has almost a damn near clear cut role already established for him as RB2 in the Las Vegas offense. He is undoubtedly going to be an elite handcuff for fantasy purposes because he's going to be sitting just behind Ashton Genty. And he's somebody that I believe has a very high upside this year and somebody that I'm willing to take the swing on this late into the draft. So, Boog, obviously, the last 2 picks were Los Angeles Chargers and Chris Boswell. I'm going to first start off with looking at your team, thoughts, opinions, anything you would have done differently. Is there, well, talk us through first and foremost how you went about sort of picking the guys that you did and then go through if there's anything you would change.
I mean, for me, the reason why I picked Christian McCaffrey first, I think, like we always talk about, he's so versatile. He gets you so many yards in so many different ways. Also, I kind of took it in a sense of, like we said, we kind of drafted near where we're going to start. Yes, our league is completely different, but I kind of wanted to go because we are a keeper league and I'm not going to get a draft pick.
Boog is using this to
I'm
practice and
using
get
it to
ready for
practice
his.
literally where if Christian McCaffrey's available, I'm gonna take him so I can see how everything plays out and kind of what players fall to me. But I mean, ideally, even in that regard, if this was a real draft, I think I still would have taken Christian McCaffrey because I love him that much and the things that he does. So yeah, that was me grabbing him. And the only reason why, honestly, I grabbed Kenneth Walker is because I really wanted to grab Brock Bowers here. I really did. He didn't fall to me, as you noticed. He one pick,
Yeah.
and he
I
couldn't.
knew you were going to try to go after him
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
and he and Trey. I like Trey McBride, but he's not. He's no Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is like the centerpiece of that offense. Him and Genty, like with a run game too. When you're
Too
passing and
many
looking at
questions with
him,
Arizona this year.
exactly that too.
Yeah.
And so Kenneth Walker, like I said it. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Pat's out. We know how good Kenneth Walker can be, how good he can hold an offense up and put him on the back. I think that's what he's going to kind of get asked to do in the beginning of the season. And so he's going to
Oh,
rack
yeah.
a lot of points for you. If I did change my draft strategy here, you already know what guy I would have picked. I've done it before when we played this type of league. I've done it before where I like to do this where filling out a roster is huge. And the only person worth getting in this second spot is Josh Allen. I would have went and I would have taken Josh Allen there just as to snag up my 1-2 picks of McCaffrey and Josh
Oh,
Allen.
actually, I just realized that.
So for
Yeah,
me,
you had the
I had the
opportunity to
opportunity
make
to.
the.
I wanted to
Yeah.
play it just a little different because I know that I'm not gonna get to really do that in a real draft. If this was the other draft,
Yeah.
in a heart. Actually, you guys would have cheated. You would have somebody would have taken him before Jared's gonna take
Yeah.
Josh Allen. You better take him. Take him now. Take him
And it
now.
just said Team Six, grab him now.
Yep.
I'll trade 2 picks to you.
Exactly. It's like, hey, let me know who you want for your third. What the wraparound on your
Yeah.
third pick? Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that. Yeah, you could have
I
had
was
the
thinking I
duel.
was thinking about it, the duo that helps me, but I mean when from a realistic standpoint of like how I want to do, like you said, you can take your time in getting a quarterback deeper in the game. And honestly, if you look at my next three picks, Olave was a good value pick. Gonna have a
No,
breakout
he
season
was.
with Tyler Shuck. It came around.
Those next 3 picks I loved.
Yeah. Tyler Warren,
Perfect.
nobody else
Perfect
was
job.
around, sure-handed, and I already had kind of where I wanted to go. And then Drake May just literally fell into my lap. He was the next available quarterback. I think he was the
Uh-huh.
second best available at that time. So can't go wrong there. And then when I came back, I felt like I needed to shore up my hand side of things. So that's why I went three wide receivers. I went with Marvin Harrison because of the great things coming out of Arizona's camp. I went with
Oh
Makai
yeah.
Lemon because we've always talked about how good a rookie he is and how explosive he can be in this offense with the departure of AJ Brown. He kind of steps into that second row with Devontae Smith. I think that's why it's a good home. Yes, there is an injury concern right now on him where it's hamstring, and then
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers, just because like we talked about BTJ's kind of value being hit or miss, hot or cold. Parker Washington, kind of the same thing. Jacoby was just a steady hand. He was calm, cool, and steady for that offense last year, and I do think that's why I took him there.
I think were the last 2 picks that you made right before him were sort of like the upside
Yeah,
picks. Jacoby is like the perfect safe floor guy to grab
just in
after
case
those two,
those
just
two
in
fall
case
through for me,
they
right?
bottom out. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
I like you guys all know me. I love to just like kind of round out my offense. I took a kicker that racks up points for you. Very, very, very beneficial when it comes to scoring points. He puts the ball through the uprights for you. Brandon Arbery is just that sure-handed guy for you.
Oh
Rashad
yeah.
White, kind of. This is a weird one because I didn't know really where I wanted to go at this point. And I didn't
No,
really
I
want to grab a
loved that pick.
defense, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I only have two running backs. What if Kenneth Walker
Mm-hmm.
gets overworked? I need
Yeah.
some person to step in. We talked about Ja'Cory Crossing Merritt. He's not that guy yet. Rashad White is kind of his Batman. There's going to be a Batman Robin or is there a 1A, 1B kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
And Rashad White, I think he's going to usurp him through the season. I think he's going to get that nod as it goes deeper and deeper into the season
In the
through the
10th
weeks.
round, somebody that could definitely start. So
Exactly.
that was the guy I was going to be eyeing on the turnaround there.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was to me it was a great pick. Yeah.
Perfect. And then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then like we talked about, my next pick was the Rams, just because I didn't want to get defense in that last round, and the Rams were the next best available team, not team, just player in general. And so
Yeah.
with how strong the defense got in the offseason, and then on the way back, Tyler Shuck, literally the double up. Big season ahead of him. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I still got Chris Olave and whatever quarterback they decide to throw back there. But at least I got Chris Olave as being their wide receiver one. But I don't think
Yeah.
Shuck should have a problem. Dalton Schultz, like I talked about, sure-handed, got me a lot of points. He's a big part of their offense. When it comes to the pass game, it's either Nico or him normally. So I think that's a great value grab in the 13th round. The 14th round was just getting another defense to be, so I don't have to search for one in a bye week, or say that the Rams defense gets old and has injuries, just to make sure. Jacksonville's defense balled out last year. They got a lot of stops. That's why Trevor Lawrence got a lot more looks. He got a lot more touches, and that's why the team was super successful. And then I took the swing on Deebo Samuel just because he's coming home. The rapport is built. The value pick in the 15th round for a player like Deebo Samuel, who could like
Yeah.
usurp to possibly back to a wide receiver one, is ridiculous to get in the 15th round. And that kind of rounds out
Yeah.
my team there.
Could not agree more. I was like, I think Debo Samuel was a great grab. Rashad White was a fantastic grab. I was like, I really liked the Tyler Shuck pick. That's why I said I was like, was hoping he wasn't going to round back to you, but he did. So you know what I mean. Things work out sometimes. But going to my team, obviously, like to start off the rip, as has been sort of the trend. If you've watched any of these videos, you already know that my trend is to technically go. All right, so always try to go hero RB. I do like that strategy. It's been There's an analytical thing out there, and I'll pull it up at some point. Maybe I'll have a graphic up there for you guys who are watching the podcast. But there's something about hero RB being one of the winningest strategies in all of fantasy football, which is why I tend to lean that way. Hasn't quite worked out for me because a lot of my hero RBs end up, sucking or something else happens to them. But I then again, the last couple of years I haven't really had the chance to do so because for some reason RBs go very early in our draft. But anyway, yeah, this one I ended up with two guys who I feel like are tier one running backs this year. I had Jonathan Taylor in there. I had Omarion Hampton at the very bottom of my tier one. So believe wholeheartedly in those two picks. Then I got the next two guys who are also. I have both in tier two, and I do really, really like this tier for wide receivers. Ted Arroyo, McMillan, Lad McConkey, two guys that I believe have tremendous upside this year. Ted Arroyo, somebody who already balled out last year and has just a chance to take it one step further. Lad McConkey, who didn't have himself a great year, but now gets a new offensive-minded offensive coordinator over there in LA with Mike McDaniels now in tow. So I think he's going to have a much improved season, and somebody who has been a favorite target of Justin Herbert, who I did get later on and also ended up working out for me even more as a stack because I love the pairing of those two. Obviously, as you kind of mentioned already, there's going to be the unfortunate week, whatever, 7 bye week of Justin Herbert, Lad McConkey, and Omarion Hampton. That's something I try not to focus too heavily on. If I can get value where I can get value, I just grab the players where I can grab them. I don't like to think about the bye weeks too much. I know that sometimes bites you in the butt, but if you can sacrifice a week here and there, I'm okay with that if it means championship in the end. And with those three guys, I believe that they're the most talented from their three positions, obviously. So they're three guys that I have a tremendous faith in. Then we got Baisha Tootin following up with that. That's somebody that I'm really, really high on this year. There was a little bit of a running back run and something that did kind of throw off my draft board a little bit here, which is why Baisha Tootin ended up being the pick because I felt like there was going to be a point where there would be no more running backs after that, and I'd be a little stressing about who I could get later on. So I did sort of panic grab him there, but I also felt like that was still really good value for what I believe his role is going to be this year. They've already talked very highly about him. Liam Cohen has already mentioned that he's going to be a big part of that offense. That's why I was not afraid to grab him here. Christian Watson followed that, another guy that I feel like is going to have a breakout year. I know I said that about my other two wide receivers. Typically speaking, I don't like to do this in a normal draft, but here I was okay with it because the three guys fell to me. I would rather have at least one solid guy. No, I mean, I guess in this case, technically speaking, that would be Teteroya McMillan. Um, but this is only his second year in the NFL, so you just never know. But I do like to have one solid guy before I start grabbing all the upside guys. This one just happened to be that I grabbed three very strong upside guys. And as is likely going to be the case, whether or not they're in my flex or they end up being one of them on the bench and me using, sort of the tight ends or running backs that else I have, I'm okay with that strategy as well. I got Jonathan Brooks here, followed up in the 8th round because I do believe in his upside this year. He's somebody that I believe can take over the RB1 role in Carolina with Chuba Hubbard not being anything spectacular. And he's been all the explosiveness that you expect out of a guy who was drafted very high for the Carolina Panthers, especially in a Dave Canales system, which I feel like is really, really good this year. Moving on after that, again, sort of reacting to how the draft is falling. A lot of tight ends started going off the board for I have no idea what reason, but a lot of guys that I wasn't expecting to be gone already were gone already. I was expecting maybe to see a Harold Fannin, a Kyle Pitts, one of those guys fall in this area. That didn't end up happening, but a guy who I do feel has the upside of both of those guys, and is somebody that could be even higher than that, considering his talent level and considering the team that he's on. Isaiah Likely, I was okay grabbing there. I did sort of go with a oddball strategy of grabbing the two QBs. I'm okay with that because I do, like I said, I hate having to forcibly drop people on my team just to make sure I can cover those bye weeks or whatever they might be. I much rather have them on my team and available. And that way, if I really end up in a bind, if somebody ends up whatever it might be, and I have to drop somebody, it's probably going to be the guy that I picked up last in my draft. And more than likely I won't have to do that, but if I do, that's the guy that I tend to lean toward. Or maybe it's my second tight end, and in this case, I ended up grabbing another very strong one in Brenton Strange, who I feel like could have a really good year this year as well. Somebody who could be so strong that he could end up in my flex at some point, and then two defenses who I do feel like have again upside and also can be really good if you're in a tackles for loss league, the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, Kaimi Fairburn, we already know what he does, and then I followed that with Mike Washington as my last pick, somebody who's going to be, again, last picks, more than likely the guy you end up dropping at some point, if you're looking for something in the bye weeks or whatever it might be. But for me, Mike Washington is somebody that I'm willing to hold on to because I do feel like he has handcuff potential, as well as the upside of being sort of the David Montgomery to Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not saying Ashton Genty and Jahmyr Gibbs are the same type of player, but somebody that could have a goal line role, somebody that could earn more touches, somebody that could technically make this a 70-30 split, a 60-40 split. That's a guy that I believe Mike Washington is, and I do believe in his upside as a player in this offense. So, yeah, definitely wasn't mad at grabbing him in the 15th round. Now, Boog, looking over some of the other teams, who here do you feel like maybe was the sleeper team here for you?
I mean, team one kind of got some nice. You got Bijan, Josh Allen, George Pickens, Ibuka. You got DK, Fannin. Like, oh, these are all players that are gonna get a lot of love, a lot of touches, and a lot of good stuff here. Even having like Hunter Henry in that tight end role out in like New England, and then you kind of look at Cam Little. You know, we know how great he was for Jacksonville last year. Even their
Mm-hmm.
second quarterback in Malik Willis, like we talk about how great an upside, big an upside he's going to have in his first year as a true starting quarterback in a new system and a new team, making a name for himself there. So for me, and even like Michael Pittman and Xavier Worthy, these are all like guys in the, as far as when it comes to the wide receiver role that they'll get theirs. Not saying they're going to be breakout. They have high floors and who knows what their ceiling? Their ceiling could be very, I guess you say, up in the air. But you know that
Yeah.
they're going to be very sure-handed and they're going to get you great baseline scores. Especially like player like Ibuka this year. Right, he got shut. He had a great first half of the year. Got shut down the second half of the season, and I think just this year he's going to have another breakout year where it's going to be pretty good for him to be a takeover player in that offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially with Baker coming back off of what we would consider a bad year for him. He's
Yeah.
got a chip on that shoulder that says, "I'm better than I was last year," and I think him and Ibuka will link up a lot better because both of them didn't have the greatest ending to their seasons.
Yeah. No, undoubtedly. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Um, yeah, I looked at the teams, and two of the ones that stood out to me the most were teams 7 and 8.
Hmm.
8 because that felt like one that I would have maybe might have been like how I would have
This
draft.
looks like
Obviously, you
a
have
Keone draft.
very strong running backs off the rip, but I didn't like the wide receiver room. I think
Yeah.
that there were some moves that they could have made in order to make better choices there. Like maybe you grab a couple of guys who kind of have the upside of like a wide receiver one. But I will say they did kind of make up for that a little bit later because Rashid Shaheed has been somebody who has been showing out during training camps and has looked really good. And Matthew Golden is another guy that could have a tremendous role with that Green Bay offense. But ultimately, I settled on Team 7. I felt like they're the most balanced. I like the Puka Nakua, Drake London tandem. I really like the Josh Jacobs, Jadarian Price tandem. I think the upsides of guys like Garrett Wilson and Rico Dowdle are really, really nice to have as sort of your either backup wide receiver running backs or as your, I guess, as your flex spots if you really want to. I think they did really, really good at finding two guys that can start, and then two guys that one is like higher upside, one is who's a safer floor. So they did that with both wide receiver and running back because you have Puka Nakua and Drake London starting, Josh Jacobs and Jadarian Price starting. And then on the backside of that, you have Garrett Wilson and Rico Dotto, who both are coming off of sort of like Rico Dotto with a weird role, Garrett Wilson with a bad year, could have tremendous upside because they're both young and talented. And then you have Devontae Adams and Ramondre Stevenson, who sort of mimic each other as well, as far as guys who always have a role, always do something in their offense, and can have this really safe floor. Top of that, you have the Matthew Stafford Kyler Murray pairing, which I do really think um, is a really solid one because you have Matt Stafford, who you know is really good. If Matt Stafford falls off from last year, you have Kyler Murray, who we all feel is going to have tremendous upside this year and is going to be somebody that's going to be looking to be sort of in that QB1 conversation. They followed it up with two really, really good receivers in Jalen Coker and Omar Cooper. The only complaint I had with this team was that they didn't go and grab like a second tight end because I mean, technically speaking, George Kittle might not even be playing to start the year, so you don't even have somebody starting in your tight end position.
Yeah.
That would be my only qualm. Other than that, I thought it was a damn near perfect team from beginning to end, and especially considering that they're in the spot
Mhm.
which I hate the most, which is that 6 and 7 spot. Great draft. So,
I actually
kudos
liked
to Team Seven.
what was it? Team Two's kind of pick. I didn't really care for their wide receiver room as much, but I
Yeah,
did like how they had Jameer, Jeremiah, Derrick Henry, Quinshad
yeah,
Judkins,
yeah.
even like
Jalen
Jalen
Ward.
Warren.
They
Like
were the other team I
they're
was looking at, but
but their wide
I was like,
receiver room, right? You got
yeah,
Jameson Williams, Jordan
it's going to be some
Addison.
heavy carrying by those running backs in
Yeah.
order to make sure that your team. And I also like that they had Jalen Hurts too, so
Yep.
you could kind of like the upside of him this year, the stack with him and Goddard. I think that's a really good one. So
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I was one of the other teams I was looking at, but I was like, man, that wide receiver room is caca.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well,
not a single solid floor guy in that entire wide receiver group. So,
honestly, like for me, if I was that team, I know it's a bot, but I probably might have taken like a Pittman Addison and not taking Dalton Kincaid there because you got the route,
or
you know?
before Jameson, just grab Igbuka.
Yeah. Oh,
If
that's
you had
true.
grabbed Igbuka, to me, that's boom.
Yeah.
You're already way better than you are already. Like, I was like, to me, that would have been like, okay, that's the best team
Yeah.
right there. I was like,
Because even
but
having
yeah,
Algier, like, man, that's crazy that you have Algier here on this team too with all the
I'll
running
say this:
backs.
at all, no disrespect to the player. I mean, he's a great player. Just from a fantasy standpoint, it's too much boomer bust. If Jameson Williams is your wide receiver one, you already mess it up. You know what I mean? You need to pair that guy with somebody else. He's great.
Yeah.
Pair that guy or put that guy with somebody who's lower than him and may not even finish as high as him. That's not a great look. Like to me, I don't like. I like the upside. I like the talent of the player. I like the player in and of itself. I think he's really, really good. I just don't think that from a fantasy standpoint, that's not the guy I want to build my team around if I'm looking at my wide receiver room. So anyway,
I love it.
I was like, I don't want to keep disrespecting the man, but anyway, I think that'll do it for this mock draft here and this sort of non super flex, half PPR, super flex, or gosh, the words are just half PPR, non super flex mock draft here. But Boog, before we bounce on to this one, do you have anything else you want to say to the beautiful people at home?
I mean, honestly, like I don't normally do mock drafts and everything, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you have the time to do some, do some. It really helps with the thought process going into it. It helps you as well of knowing what players are gonna fall to you in what areas, different
Yeah.
rounds, different positions. I think this has helped me a lot knowing where I want to go into the league. I know it kind of gives away my strategies and things, especially with like Keone them, but they already know I cause chaos and I'm not always going to pick the same way. And then
Well, in
you
fairness,
add
I'm
something
more
a
worried
little bit.
about you than you're worried about me.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm more worried about you than you're worried about me
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of what I give away is just like shooting myself in the foot later on down the road.
Yeah, and then I get to see like sometimes like, hey, who likes who, or
Yeah.
what player constantly goes early, or like are they really that high on draft boards, or are people knowing something that we don't know, So I think that's always
That's why
fun
I'd like
too.
to. I'd like to think that I want to say maybe not entirely, but maybe almost entirely. Like my three teams that I've drafted so far on the pod have all been pretty wildly different. So it's been nice to kind of see what each position will have available to them
Hmm.
and all those sorts of things. And it's been kind of cool to kind of play that out. But yeah, could not agree more. If you can get into mock drafts, you can do it with friends, even better. For us here, we do it with the fellas here on the podcast, and that's been really, really fun to do over the last couple of weeks. We got one more before
Until we dare,
you know.
maybe
So
dare.
we'll have some podcasts and other such content coming out after that trip. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be posting that almost immediately after. Maybe not immediately after, but maybe like the week after the trip up to Vegas, our annual trip for the draft. But boys, But oh my gosh, what is going on with me today? I've been
Wow.
well, I said boys, and there's only one man here. So anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Fit Down. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here at Poi and Soy. Bang bang.